Some call it soccer, some call it football. But when the World Cup begins, the name doesn't really matter. Because somehow, one ball, one goal, one moment can make millions of people feel the same thing. Hope, fear, pride, heartbreak, and sometimes, prayer. Maybe that's why the World Cup is more than a game. Maybe it shows us what people carry in their hearts. Maybe you don't know why it makes you feel this much, why one goal can make you scream, why one missed chance can make your chest feel heavy, why a national anthem can suddenly bring tears to your eyes, why you can sit in a living room thousands of miles away from the stadium and still feel like your heart is on that field. Maybe it's not just because you love the sport. Maybe it's because the World Cup reminds you of something deeper, where you came from, who you are, who you watched the game with, and what you still hope for. For some people, it's just a jersey. But for others, that jersey feels like home. It carries a language, a family, a flag, a childhood memory, a father shouting at the TV, a mother praying quietly in the corner, a child seeing their country on the biggest stage in the world and thinking, maybe people like us can dream too. That is why the World Cup feels different. Because people are not only watching athletes, they are watching a part of themselves. Before the bright lights, before the cameras, before the anthem, every player was once just a child with a ball. A child running through dirt, grass, streets, rain, and empty fields. A child who missed shots, lost games, cried quietly, kept training anyway. And somewhere along the way, that child carried a dream so big that one day, it became heavier than just football. Because when a player walks into a World Cup stadium, he is not only carrying his name, he carries the people who believed in him, the sacrifices no one saw, the family that waited, the country that hopes, and the pressure of knowing that one mistake can break hearts, while one goal can become history. That is a heavy thing to carry, and maybe that's why we feel nervous too, because deep down, we understand pressure. Maybe not in a stadium, maybe not in front of millions, but we know what it feels like to carry expectations, to not want to fail, to want to make our family proud, to want one moment where everything finally feels worth it. So when we watch the World Cup, we are not only watching players chase a trophy, we are watching humans carry pressure. We are watching people try to stay strong while the whole world is watching. And maybe that's why we connect with them. Because behind the fame, the money, and the noise, they are still human, just like us. And when the pressure becomes too heavy, some people do something quiet. They close their eyes, they bow their heads, they point upward. They pray. Not because they are weak, but because even the strongest people know what it feels like to need grace. On the biggest stage in the world, with cameras everywhere, with millions watching, a simple prayer reminds us of something true. We are not in control of everything. We need strength. We need peace. We need hope. And sometimes, before the world cheers, the heart needs to be still. But the players are not the only ones carrying something. The fans carry it too. In living rooms, in restaurants, in churches, in streets, in quiet bedrooms where someone watches alone but still feels connected to millions. Some people watch for their country. Some watch for their family. Some watch because it reminds them of someone they lost. Some watch because for 90 minutes, they get to believe again. Believe that the impossible can happen. Believe that underdogs can rise. Believe that one moment can change everything. And maybe that is why the World Cup feels so emotional, because it gives people permission to hope out loud. And when it ends badly, it hurts. Not because it was only a game, but because you cared, because you hoped, because somewhere inside you believed this could be the moment. The final whistle comes, the room goes quiet, and for a second, it feels like more than a match has ended. But maybe that heartbreak is proof of something beautiful. You were part of it. You felt it. You believed. And even when your team loses, hope has a way of coming back. That is what football does. That is what the World Cup does. It breaks hearts and somehow teaches them to believe again. So maybe the World Cup is more than a game, because it reminds us that people everywhere are looking for the same things: a place to belong, a reason to hope, a moment to believe, a prayer when the pressure is too heavy, a reminder that even in a divided world, we can still feel something together. Some call it soccer, some call it football, but maybe what we are really watching is the human heart, carrying home, carrying hope, carrying faith, and still believing until the final whistle. What country are you praying for this World Cup?